we went through and what some of the results are. First of all, with mods, people were very familiar with avatar making, right? Whether it's on the Wii or Xbox 360 or any number of games that have avatar creation now. We wanted to really take that to a grand scale and make it very, very easy. So you can start with a base platform model. You can apply your own skins, apply your own facial features. You can scale, translate, rotate, all of these features. It's very, very flexible. Add hairstyles, add clothing. We have a wide variety of clothing. Add stickers, and then you can do things like you can create yourself. Everyone tries to create themselves first. But then people quickly branch out into other creations. And you can see that I love animals. So there are several animals here that are possible. And you'll see the wide variety of creations that you can do that, despite the fact that people start with the same base platform model, the exact same mesh, that people quickly find ways to break out of that mold. Some produce here. Also, we have a very, very sophisticated sticker system where you can layer hundreds of stickers on top of each other. So we provide a number of stickers, primitives, logos, and whatnot. And through the creative use of these, you can actually add depth or add, alter the shape of the face. You'll see that it looks like the eyes are sunken. All the clothing is custom. We provide a lot of clothing out of the box for people to use, but this outfit was completely constructed originally using primitives. And there are other features on the body that were created using primitives. There are some homages. People like paying homage to lots of different things. We recognize this guy from Peanuts. There's Daft Punk. Oh my God. Yeah. Star Wars is always popular. Again, this was created only using primitives. This was created by an end user who was playing our public beta version. And we only released about 5% of the parts from the final game. It was amazing what people were able to do with just a handful of parts. You see a lot of relief work in this creation. You can control the height maps on all the primitives. So this one's very, very detailed. This was an inventive use of it was intended to be a BMX mask, a motocross mask, but it works well with the Dark Lord of Sith. Dr. Zoidberg. This was a creative use of a helmet. We never thought that the helmet would be used as a head, and with the facial features being shapes that were stamped on top of the helmet. This guy was very popular. There are many, many Jokers in our public beta. I guess this guy's going to be in a big movie this year. This guy was in a big movie last year. This guy was big in a movie 25 years ago. This was incredible detail work in the face. We never thought that people would do this. I think this one was published 2 days after we opened our public beta. So people mastered the tools very, very quickly. Some video game homages. And finally, the hero from the Game of the Year last year. So as you can see, you can make a wide variety of creations. These are just a few of the thousands we've seen so far, and it's amazing what people are able to do with it. And you can save these to into your hard drive. You can upload them, you can share them, you can remix them. It's tons of fun. Onto the karts. So again, we start with a base platform chassis. Right? We don't have multiple types of vehicles or anything like that. But again, with that constraint of the same base, you're able to create tons of different things. So you can add a body, you can add various parts, you can customize the engine, the steering wheel, everything in there. Again, the sticker system from the mods is here, so you can come up with your own custom skins and liveries. And then there are tons of genres of vehicles that you can make: sports cars, muscle cars, classic cars. We've got off-roaders. We've got youthful sort of vehicles. Pretty badass garbage truck. We got a pitmobile. And all these, again, like if you look at the detail on these, all the parts are scalable, all the stickers are scalable, layerable, and it's amazing what you can do with it. This is the Renegade Stabby-mobile, one of our testers made. And then, but sometimes some of the simpler ones are really cool too. So again, with the mods and the karts, it's very, very fast, very fun. Very fast UI tools, very fast interface, very fast placing of parts, and then very, very deep, very fun. For the track studio, I'm going to go into the Wayback Machine again to an early EA game called Pinball Construction Set. I don't know how many of you have played it. Hands up if you've played Pinball Construction Set. Yeah, on the old Commodore and Atari systems. Amazing, amazing game. And there are a lot of principles from this game that I really brought with me to Mod Nation Racers. If you're not familiar with it, it enabled you to make your own custom pinball machines. It came with a number of pinball machines, but you could make your own by dropping parts onto the table. You could even pull vertices to make your own custom layouts. And then once you were done, you could play your pinball machine. And all throughout that, you could actually test your machine and then edit it, test it, edit it until you came with your finished pinball machine. There are a number of principles that I loved from this game. The first is that it had really good constraints. It wasn't trying to be everything to everyone. Everyone sort of understands what pinball is about, what the goal is, and so it was very, very focused on what you want to put out. Also, it was consistent the way you played it and created it. It never switched to a separate mode. There was never a separate camera. What you edited was what you got. There were no surprises at the end. Sharing was as easy as passing a floppy disk. You could actually save out a runtime version of your pinball machine, so even someone who didn't own the game could play it. We didn't do this in our game because Sony doesn't want us giving away the game, but there were principles of this, of how easy we wanted to enable people to pass on and show off their creations. And finally, there had to be a high level of fidelity, that we didn't want there to be a divide between the levels that we made and the levels that end users would create. And so we actually set a very high target for our level designers and for end users to make. We did some concept work to show the level of detail, the level of graphical sophistication, the lighting, the materials, the shaders, different locales, a very, very dense population, and also to have sort of a headroom to grow, right? To go into various things that we couldn't envision, and to just leave it open for people to create whatever. But we had to start with a system that was unknown to people. And I'm going to show you a few drawings that were the very, very first drawings of Track Studio. And we were just sitting around, hey, what's the easiest way for people to create levels? And we're like, you should be able to drive to create. So actually using normal driving controls that, from racing, and actually just drive out a track. And so I talked to the concept artist. I'm like, yeah, you're going to drive, and you're going to be in this holodeck, and you're going to drive it through space. And he's like, okay, I'll draw this. So we had some vague notions of, well, how do you place props and stuff, and we also wanted to be super flexible, that you could remix or you could combine very disparate props. So this drawing was a sort of a tropical setting and a moon setting in one track. We wanted to be able to do that. And we pitched that to the publisher, and they went, you're kind of crazy. It was so foreign to people that they were very, very skeptical that we could make that system fast and fun. And so we got very, very good advice. I'm glad we took this advice. It was from Phil Harrison, who was at Sony at the time. We pitched the game to him. He said, we know you guys can make a fun racing game. You guys made Need for Speed. You made all these other racing games. Don't bother building a vertical slice of the game for us that's just about racing. Do this first. Build Track Studio. Prove that you're not crazy. So that's what we did. We we didn't have any test kits, so we had to do this prototype on the PC. We took one veteran programmer who had previous experience making level creation tools, and it took him about 2 weeks. I wish I could show you this prototype, but it didn't look too much better than this, actually. It was very, very rudimentary. But within 2 weeks, we were able to confirm that the mechanism of driving to create a track was fast and was fun. However, there are some caveats. There are some learnings from the initial prototype. One is that for a lot of people, navigating 3D space is quite hard, especially in a place like a holodeck with no sort of frame of reference or anything. So we had to address that. We also had to give feedback about where you were and how your budget for the track, and there are numerous real-world constraints. We couldn't let you drive forever. And we'd probably have to address a lot of, probably have to do a lot of error checking in the levels and guide users through it. So these were some of the issues that came out of that prototype. We also didn't know exactly what it was going to look like. And so Wes Holder, one of our track designers, came up with a previs, and I'm going to show that to you right now. So that was our very first visualization of what the track studio might be. And what's missing from it is any notion of UI or interface or mechanics. It was just an inspirational piece that our track designer happened to piece together, I think overnight. I think it pulled an all-nighter and put that together. But at least it seeded everyone with ideas on how to make it happen. So we went into a rapid iteration cycle and started building it out. We added a UI. We started getting artists, ramping up our team. We started adding some artists. We actually got some real karts and characters going. We had, a generic environment with grass and a skybox. And this was about the sophistication that we could do about 2 months in, actually. It was not that fast and not that fun yet, though. One of the things that we had problems with or didn't quite sell right away was how we were placing props. We had this awful UI on it. And with just a couple clicks on a button, like you'd end up with like 50 dinosaurs. And there was no control, and the camera was terrible. When you went to the track level, it looked kind of neat, sort of like Jurassic Park. We allowed things like time of day, so you could reposition the sun. So that was pretty cool. We could alter the terrain globally. We could raise it. We could lower it. But that was about the sophistication that we could do. It was still heartening because we got to this point rather quickly. One of the things that we did early on, you saw sort of a ribbon-like thing in the previous shots. We did do one thing called autocomplete, which addressed the problem of navigating in 3D space. Often when we test it with people, people would drive around but not know how to get back to the finish line. So they could, with one button, just close off the loop. So a level would never be broken. And that became one of our core tenets, that we would never let someone create a track and save it and upload it if it was broken. So auto-completing the track made sure that it was actually drivable. And we needed to, I don't know how many times we went through prop editing, prop placement, but initially we went sort of procedural, like just automatically placing things like chevrons and guardrails, but then we weren't getting any variety, so then we went completely manual, but then you saw the UI was terrible, and we ended up somewhere in between eventually.